Oh, I can see this nice sunshiny day again. Although, unfortunately for this point and onwards, this will be the last day of August at this point. So naturally speaking, we are pretty much going to be moving on to somewhat a little bit more colder weathers these days now. Yeah, especially because of how the fact that October or September is getting closer to able to actually just come by. Yeah, especially noticeable how the fact that this will be the opportunity that we can able to discuss upon on things. Yeah, anyway though, hey, what's up ladies and gentlemen, I am Mario here from the likes of the Maxi Toys, and I'm joined along with Luigi here, Wario here, and of course I'm Waluigi here. Welcome to you all. It's been such a quite a long time since actually coming back into YouTube these days for Waluigi's own days. Yeah, anyway though, Waluigi, sorry for a little bit of a tangent right there. Ladies and gentlemen, we'll present to you our brand new multiplayer mayhem video. This time around though, we are back onto the forms of Wii Sports Resort again. But this time, as you can see right here, we are actually playing golf. So even then though, since we've already played this before, and because we're actually going to be playing this for the first time, this means it always forces us to do with a tutorial stuff. So even then though, once again, you can able to press the minus button to able to get this thing started.
Start!
Okay then, so let's get this thing to it, and as you can see on screen, Revenant is actually taking place in the classical stages from the likes of the original Wii Sports. Instead, now we can able to actually show you guys the actual Wii Sports Resort counterparts of the, well, 9 stages. So even then though, that once again, we're able to actually show all 9 of them off, so even then I just want to able to classify for specific changes. I think I noticed one little difference, as you can see right there. We actually have water involved from the get-go. Yeah, because rather than the forms have taken place in, let's just say in hole number, 2, I believe, in the original game, that, if you somehow get into the water hazard, if you're familiar with that specific out-of-bounds system, basically you would able to actually miss your go, or in this case, for this matter, your score were able to actually just go ahead and increase. And although the actual main goal of this though, Luigi, is very much exactly like how it did in the original Wii Sports game, that whoever gets the lowest score wins, like subtraction numbers. Because if you get like you know, plus numbers or anything like that, you will lose. So it's kind of like the reverse point system as far as I'm aware. Yeah, I know that, because even now, we've already played this for about, or in this case, we haven't exactly played golf for quite a long time, since about 5 years ago. Well, in this case, to be more accurate though, Waluigi, it's been about 5 years since the original Wii Sports golf video has been up. Well, at least to be more specifically, the 15th of August, so yeah, because as a result of this kind of stuff, folks, we do apologize with the actual lack of, well, the actual delaying certain things, because, well, this is a reason why about the fact that it just took so long to able to actually get this recording session started, especially because that, once again, I believe, if you play all 9 stages, if you manage to able to play through likely, 4 people with you, and once again, much like the original game, we're going to be able to share between these Wii Motion Plus, or to be more accurate though, the Wii Motion Plus Wii Remote. So because of this though, that if you're familiar with that particular stuff from before, ever since during the likes of in April the 30th, or during the likes of in the bowling video, like Mickey and Pinkie Pie and Shy Guy and Joy managed to able to actually go for that specific stuff. In fact, it kind of reminds me of something, is the fact that we actually did done the Wii Sports Resort video from during any forms of between this month, and especially noticeable with April. For whatever reason, we're just able to actually do this on specifically at the very end of the month, specifically. Yeah, which first I thought it was going to be like that, but either way though, we'll, you know, just trying to get onto the actual first hole, so even then though, yeah, as far as I can usually think about it for the time. So even then though, yeah, let's just get into the actual main point of the Wii Sports Resort counterpart of golf. Basically, it plays exactly like how it did in the original game, as I said before. But there are noticeable differences that you might actually notice something. Is that, in order to actually accept your shot this time, is that, as you can tell, we need to keep on pressing the B button until the actual gauge actually showed up. And also not to mention, since this because of how the fact that, well, not so much for partying and stuff like that, because as you can see, we actually able to actually just can tell that it goes on a straight line if you manage to able to hit the actual, like, the golf ball at the right moment. So, yeah, as a result of this kind of stuff, though, is that today's day is the forms of the 31st of August in 2019. And I believe Duffy hasn't mentioned about this during the likes of his, the conclusion to the forms of Donkey Kong Country Let's Play. Recently, Astro Chain has been just recently released yesterday from, I believe, every single country throughout, but I wasn't really particularly that interested to me, though. It's most notably because, well, usually it's not my cup of tea or anything like that. I do apologize if I'm a little bit more enthusiastic about it, but even then, no, that's as far as I can say about it. Alright, so let's get into that hole over there, and sadly to say for me, I've got a bogey, just because, the main emphasis on this particular, well, let me explain on this for this point, Waluigi, while I was gonna able to do my shots right here. Yeah, so because basically, much like in the forms of every single sport in Wii Sports Resort, as well as Wii Play Motion, and heck, even with the forms of the HD remake of Wii Sports, known as Wii Sports Club, which I found that game is pretty mediocre to me, though. I much rather prefer playing the original Wii version any day, because, well, you know what I mean. I just don't like the fact that, well, it just has a lot of usage on two separate Wii remotes, as opposed to likely have a nunchuck included, which, you know, it kind of does the same thing for how it does it on, specifically for Mario Party 9 or 10, because, well, I understand because of how the fact that they just somehow makes the nunchuck usage, might be pretty useless in some party games and all as such, which I'm not exactly sure why. And especially noticeable for this point, Luigi, is the fact that they did not include the nunchuck controls on Mario and Sonic at the Rio 2016 Olympic Games at all, just because of how the fact that it's all button only. Well, buttons controls only. Which, thankfully though, until Tokyo 2020 Olympic Games on Mario and Sonic at the Olympic Games Tokyo 2020, they did manage to bring back the actual motion controls this time, which either way though, that we'll get to that point in doing at some point next year though, specifically on the 24th of July, on 2020, until the actual opening ceremony will actually start until next year. Yeah, which fundamentally though, Mario, I'm pretty sure that once again you and Sonic may actually decide to do that Let's Play. Yeah, exactly, Luigi. No, I just must have did this a little bit too much pressure on it. That's pretty dumb of me. Pretty dumb luck if I have to say so for this matter though. So anyways though, if you can tell, because as I said before, with this game you heavily utilizes the Motion Plus peripheral, or in this case Wii Remote Plus, if depends on what models you'd be getting, specifically for back in during the likes of in 2013, or I would say 2011, specifically 2011, because well, just like in the forms of how it does it on, you know, Wii Play Motion and every single sports in Wii Sports Resort, and especially noticeable with The Legend of Zelda Skyward Sword, and heck, even with the forms of, I would say, Nintendo Land, and also the same applies for Wii Sports Club, and heck, even with the forms of Mario and Sonic at the... Oh, I missed! Dang it, I must have swung way too hard for this point. Yeah, if you couldn't tell for this point already, or before we get into that, however, though, what are you about to say, Luigi? I was get confused. Same applies for Mario and Sonic at the Sochi 2014 Olympic Winter Games, where basically you do need to use the Motion Plus peripheral or Wiimote Plus so that you can able to actually play that specific title. And I don't know about any other titles specifically for those games, but that's as far as we can say about it. So anyways though, if you couldn't tell for this point already, for this point folks, because we keep on getting a lot of pars rather than birdies, and heck, even rare occasions for eagle or anything like that. This is the only thing about this, is that we are not good at this game at all. Well, to be more specifically, this sport, because, well, because we keep on used to with the original Wii Sports game, because of how the fact that, well, I found the motion controls very cool looking for a very cool concept back then, but at least for Wii Sports Resort, it has a lot of usage on the Advantage for the actual Motion Plus peripheral, for the actual accessory in mind. Well, it does take a while to able to get used to it. The actual, the main purpose of this, though, is the fact that, every time you, like, twist the Wii Remote or Wii Motion Plus, the actual bar might start to tilt a little bit. Well, it depends on how good the angle is. So, even then, I kind of prefer it that way, though, compared to the forms of how it does it on that very clunky system with the forms of Wii Sports Club in variation, because, well, sure, it might actually have something unique to the table, like, you know, using the Wii U gamepad as an act as like a top-down perspective with that specific golf ball. And I think that's a perfect example about the fact that we are basically skipping over Wii Sports Club at any day because, well, I just don't know what to think about it. And plus, the Miiverse is now pretty much dead at this rate. So, because of this though, Luigi, we're probably not going to get Wii Sports Club after all. Because it feels like a load of trash compared to the forms of the superior those two games here. Yeah, to be more specifically though, Mario, is, you know, the original Wii Sports and Wii Sports Resort for this matter. And talking of which, here's my first out of bounds in the entire game. Or in this case, for this entire sport as it is, because then again, it did take me a lot of practice on this sometimes though, I will admit though, because there were a few times I generally got screwed over with that, although the wind speed was still a thing on this specific incarnation of Wii Sports Resort Golf, but either way though, that just might take a little bit while to get a lot of practice with. Alternatively, there's also the forms of the Frisbee Golf, which I think you do need to unlock it first in order to actually just to play it. But we could potentially try to do that though, but maybe at some point in the future. Maybe. Just maybe. But not right now though, because we're mainly focusing on the original golf returning sports from the likes of the original game. The only sports I just realized they did not make a return is boxing, baseball, and tennis, because I'm presuming tennis is being replaced by table tennis, and as for boxing, it's being replaced by swordplay, which I don't mind too much though, because swordplay was actually a pretty addictive game. Or in this case, for this matter though, the most addictive sport on Wii Sports Resort so far. Yeah, I know that, Mario. I'm definitely noticing that. So, as far as when September is getting close to able to actually just begin, apparently though, as far as when I've seen some of those, Nintendo Direct, rumors or anything like that, although it might not exactly be true just yet though, but, some other, YouTubers out there saying about the fact that they're going to be able to be predicting, the September's Nintendo Direct for this year. So, because of this though, because, you know, they've already done that since, you know, 2016 for the Nintendo 3DS software. And also not to mention, 2017 for mixture of both, really, for Nintendo 3DS and Nintendo Switch. And similar to last year, which is in 2018, despite the fact that originally we were supposed to have it on, you know, the beginning portion of September, but because, you know, due to this, horrible news back then, during the likes of a year ago with that, you know, the earthquake during that time, so they managed to able to delay that and during a week later. So, but at least it doesn't bother us too much though, well, apart from this little shocking news at first. Yeah, anyway though, so speaking of which actually, is the fact that some people seem to say about the fact that with the actual familiar Mario image, yeah, I'm talking about you, Mario. That's fine, Luigi, because even then, though, I'm the only definitive video game character, of course, from across the world. Well, no offense, though, for this point, guys. No offense. And there's my first birdie. About freaking time. Well, apart from me, of course, because I accidentally managed to go myself the OB to begin with, so I guess I was able to take it, I suppose. Yeah, because as far as what I've rewatched both Wii Sports Golf video compared to this nowadays, I feel like that back then, especially in 2014, unfortunately though, I think I don't usually enjoy Wii Sports Golf video these days now because, well, I've watched those two back to back, or in this case, well, I just managed to watch the original Wii Sports Golf video back then. And looking at it now, especially like 5 years later, it feels like kind of outdated now. Because, well, for one thing, the quality might be a little bit average at points, but it wasn't nearly as clean, or in this case, for this matter though, not as nearly as gorgeous as the forms of how it does it when we're used to right now. And another thing is worth pointing out for this point, Luigi, is that the sound mixing on that specific video, like you know the video where you're gonna talk about earlier, it feels very unbalanced. Like, for instance, that you can't really hear the actual commentary very well, or especially noticeable with, come on, first water hazard. But anyway, so now it's my go here. So, anyway, apart from all that such, I think the actual sound balancing issues on specifically for this incarnation of Wii Sports Golf video, well, to be more specifically, Wii Sports Resort Golf, it feels a lot more better than the forms of how it does it 5 years ago. Well, apart from the actual, like, microphone issues again, because this is another example about the fact that took so long to be able to actually get this process going because of, once again, our microphone is getting a little bit glitchy these days. Well, I can assure you for safe for this matter though, Luigi, because, well, I found a solution to fix it though, luckily though, and that was the fact that I have to keep on whacking the actual, microphone, not on the wall though, because that will able to actually damage the painting, but to be more accurate though, on specifically, I can't remember actually though, but I've managed to whack the actual microphone to begin with. But either way though, because we don't want to damage our very teeny tiny room for ourselves for this point. Because I remember back in 2014, we did manage to able to space out a little bit, so that way we can able to experience our golf properly. But either way though, that's besides the point. So, anywho though, a few things we want to explain about this actually, while we're able to actually speculation for, specifically for the, unknown date yet for September's Nintendo Direct for this year, or October. First thing I want to point out is that while Cypher already mentioned about the Astral Chain that recently released on the Nintendo Switch yesterday, another thing I want to point out is that, before we get into the most exciting part, although there's actually that one game is about to be coming out on specifically the September the 17th if I recall, although I might be miscount on that, but even then though, there is that Castle Crushers, you know that game originally released on Xbox 360 Arcade, or in this case Xbox Live Arcade, and especially noticeable on the PlayStation Network on the PlayStation 3, and also there is the Xbox One remastered version during the likes of in I would say in 2015 or something, and what I've seen the actual new trailer of the Castle Crushers Remastered, specifically for the Nintendo Switch version, this means you can able to actually play on the go now, and what makes it a huge plus compared to the forms of the original version to me though, and that was the fact that the frame rate is a hell of a lot more better than the forms of how it does in the original game, because sometimes the actual frame rate might actually kind of bothers me as much in the original version of the game, but usually at the end of the day, whenever I managed to play this on my own, or not so much on my own, I think it was actually like Stuart who managed to able to originally got the game back in during the likes of in 2014, you know, roughly during the exact same time when he got himself his PlayStation 3, specifically the Super Slim model. Yeah, compared to our version, we actually still got the PlayStation Slim, or PlayStation 3 Slim, which is the 2009 model. I can't even believe about the fact that PlayStation 3 Slim model, released in 2009, is practically a decade old. Well, despite the fact that it doesn't feel nearly as damaged as we thought we were. But either way though, if we've played Castle Crushers from together, I don't usually enjoy that game all that much, to be honest with you, because I swear to God, the depth perception for my part, it does feel really, really irritating, even if you really want to, like, hit the enemies to begin with. Whilst most of the time, though, I just keep on just, you know, missing some of my attacks most of the time, because, well, again, with the depth perception, it's, you know, I get it because it's in 2D, you know, sprite-looking kind of game, or I'm not exactly sure, but even then though, because I think that game really encourages you to be able to explore the actual environment almost in a 3D plane, which in this case is almost like an isometric thing right there. But either way though, that's just me. I'm probably not gonna get it for the Switch, honestly, because, well, I honestly not a big fan of the game to begin with for this point, folks. Ah, shoot. Here's my Water Hazard right here. So anyways, though, yeah, I just never really, enjoyed Castle Crashers, honestly. I prefer, most of the other beat-em-up games, specifically for, Streets of Rage trilogy. That's the only thing, and especially noticeable with, all these things itself and all that such. I can't remember exactly what any other beat 'em up games there is now, but even then, because it's been such a long time since I actually managed to play Castle Crashers with Stuart that time ago. Or in this case, for this matter though, for 5 years ago. But because of this though, I'm just not gonna get it for the Switch. And because of that though, I'm just probably not gonna get it though, in general though, because, well, although the presentation looks very impressive back then, but looking at it now, especially noticeable that thankfully we got ourselves a remastered version on its way on the Switch. But sadly though, the PlayStation 4 version doesn't seem to have the release date yet. Which I'm not exactly sure how can we describe that, Mario. I think it's most likely because they need to get some more time before, you know, anything else will happen. I don't know about you, Luigi. I just really don't know about it yet. And, another thing I want to talk about this, while, Duffy has not even mentioned about this, during the likes of in, any other parts ago, is that out of nowhere, is that those two compilation games, specifically for the Disney Games department, originally I was expecting it will be Mickey Mania, Deluxe or something, to able to include, all 4 versions of the game, which is specifically the Mega Drive version, or the Super Nintendo version, or especially noticeable with the Mega CD, the most expensive version of that specific game, or Mickey's Wild Adventure for the PlayStation 1, only exclusive to Europe and Australia, while the Americans can able to get it. But it turns out it wasn't, because it turns out, because there's a rare occasional, replay ability right there. Oh wow, I must have really impressed about you, Wario, for able to actually get some skills like that. Yeah, at least I'm feeling incredibly impressive for myself. So yeah, before we get into that, however, though, do you remember back in 5 years ago about the fact that Waluigi did manage to win Wii Sports Golf? Oh yes, I still even remember that, because I remember that getting an eagle, which is, I think, is a massive achievement for my liking, because, well, I just can't believe I managed to succeed that. But unfortunately for you, Waluigi, though, your luck really does now expires now, because, well, again, it takes a lot of practice to able to get used to with the Wii Motion Plus peripheral sometimes, especially because of how the fact that, well, it actually really encourages you to do the actual movement rather than just a quick movement with flexibility compared to the original, though, which I'll give the game some credit. Some credit though, is because, you know, the Motion Plus peripheral does manage to offers you a lot of advantage that you can able to actually cope with. Yeah, anyway though, what are you about to say, Mario? Oh yeah, surprisingly enough, both Aladdin and The Lion King, both of these video game tie-ins by the way, are about to be getting themselves its remaster or re-release on those two games, specifically 3 versions in each game coming onto the Xbox One, Nintendo Switch, and PlayStation 4. Which, I will say, I'm actually kind of impressed by that, because I was originally trying to get those 2 games, specifically on the Mega Drive version of both Aladdin and The Lion King. But unfortunately though, it might be pretty pricey these days now, especially on loose cartridge, or especially noticeable on boxed. Which we could try to get Aladdin from CEX, but unfortunately we're too late for that part because we just got distracted by something else entirely. But even then though, it's about time to be able to actually fully, whenever I manage to get the hands on Aladdin video game for the first time for my life, well, I've seen the actual footage of the gameplay of specifically the Mega Drive / Genesis version of the Aladdin and The Lion King. I found to be kind of good, actually, because even then, I would love to able to try those out, even on the original Mega Drive cartridge-only versions of that specific games. Although, we were gonna get ourselves Mega Man The Wily Wars on the original Mega Drive cartridge, but somehow it's disgustingly expensive, because, well, for Sega marketing campaign, might have felt like, I don't know, I think the Nintendo, marketing campaign for Mega Man stuff was actually a little bit more of a better highlight or something. It's hard to explain about this sometimes because, well, we haven't exactly gone back into Mega Man stuff sometimes. Oh, speaking of Mega Man, actually, it's the fact that you remember when Sonic actually mentions before, and during the likes of in Kingdom Hearts Final Mix so far, during the likes of in his Let's Play of the game, he did accidentally say about the fact that there's actually a new compilation game is about to due out at some point next year, specifically on 2020, January 21st, and the fact of the matter is, though, he accidentally say Mega Man 0/ZX Collection. It turns out, he's actually missing that one specific word that he's trying to say. That's, of course, Legacy, because think about it, that, you know, we actually got Mega Man Legacy Collections already, as well as Mega Man X Legacy Collections already as well, so now we gotta get ourselves, you know, Mega Man 0/ZX Legacy Collection. There we go, I said that right, because even then, I can assure to you, because, well, I'm pretty sure I'm the definitive video game character, of course, well, at least for the most part anyway, though, so either way, though, yeah, it looks like I need to get myself a good shot right here. So yeah, while you're at it, Luigi, is that, as I mentioned before, with Aladdin and the Lion King video games is about to due out for the entire compilation on the PlayStation 4, Xbox One, and Nintendo Switch, and I believe PC as well, or in this case, Steam, as a result of this particular stuff. As I mentioned before, you're able to include 3 versions in each game. So let's start with the Aladdin first, because it's pretty obvious for this point. Because, you know, Aladdin, as far as the actual Aladdin film came out in both animated and live-action movies, despite the fact that the live-action movies, despite the box office hits, unfortunately the reviews on those 2 films didn't exactly go higher up to the actual animated standards, which I think is understandable because, well, if they fell in love with the actual nostalgia memory, well, they somehow messed up completely in the live-action remakes, which, at this point in time, folks, I'm pretty much sick of the forms of the live-action movies these days now, because, well, I have no idea why they ruined the actual nostalgia memory from the likes of the original films back in the 90s. I mean, sure, it's very understandable per se, but either way, though. Anyways, let's get into the forms of that specific discussion with that compilation while Luigi, Wario, and Waluigi is about to gain themselves as good shots. I just got that terrible bogey right there. And now it's time for me, Waluigi, it's time to shine. In fact, I'm so surprised about the fact that Super Smash Flash 2 actually now includes me as a playable fighter. That's how it should be done for Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, but unfortunately it's pretty much in a cut deadline at this point. And sadly for me though, I just go bogey as well. Typical you 3, typical you 3, but it seems so far Luigi was actually in the lead right now. Yeah, which I kind of felt surprised about that, because even then though, back in the original Wii Sports game, for the golfing sports, that we actually did pretty okay on that, despite the actual mistakes, shots, or anything like that. But turns out I was doing pretty well, actually. Yeah, because you, I believe that so far for you, though, Luigi, I think you actually got yourselves about, like, I would say 2 birdies so far, although I may be wrong, but because I just mastered lost track of my score count or anything like that, so... Anyways, though, let's start with the Aladdin's 3-game compilations that's gonna come out, and those 3 versions are the original Game Boy version, as well as the Sega Mega Drive / Genesis version of the game, and finally the forms of Aladdin Final Cut version. It's kind of confusing of how the fact that what that 3rd game is supposed to be, but because of that, though, we'll find things out whenever that particular compilation comes out. The only sad thing about this is that they do not include the Super Nintendo counterpart of Aladdin video game, because I see, you know how Game Explain already did a video about can they completely done with, or can they beat Aladdin for the Super Nintendo, but it's kind of a shame about the fact that that version doesn't exist on the compilation. I think it's most notably because of, it's hard to explain it about this sometimes again, folks, because even then, I'm not gonna be too harsh about it though, but I think it's probably because of a different developer? I don't know, it could be something else entirely. But anyway though, apart from all that such, I'm actually really looking forward to able to actually just to play through the Sega Mega Drive version of Aladdin so that I can able to try that out for, you know, when that particular compilation comes out. I think it's going to due out at some point in autumn this year, or in this case, fall this year, so according to the American version. And I really don't know about the fact that you're able to include the digital download only, or just the physical version. Well, from what I've seen Luigi, they actually did include the physical versions of both the Aladdin and the Lion King all together. So, and speaking of the Lion King, let's talk about that right now with all three versions they're actually going to be including. So those are the Mega Drive slash the Sega Mega Drive slash Sega Genesis version, which is a huge plus. And also the Super Nintendo version of that specific The Lion King title, which again, why they did not include the Aladdin Super Nintendo version to begin with, I don't freaking know. And finally, the Game Boy version, which I might give it a Game Boy version a chance, or in this case a try, but even then though, the only exceptions are the Master System, or specifically the Sega Master System, because what I've seen the gameplay footage of it on VG Retro YouTube channel. Oh no! I was close! Oh jeez, that really annoys me sometimes. Even with the actual luck usually involves around like this, I just cannot even believe I actually missed that hole. In fact, talking about that specific tradition though, Mario, it's actually really difficult to get birdie in this incarnation of golf this time. Because, you know, you have to get a lot of usage on the Motion Plus technique. Especially because how the fact that it might actually take you a lot of practice if you keep on screwing up your shots. Yeah, I know that, Mario. I really do know that. So, I get a strong feeling about the fact that all four of us are actually getting pars in this hole so far. So even then though, who knows, we're able to take it, so let's just move on. And I believe we actually got about 2 holes left now, so even then though, let's see what's up next. So we got hole number 8, so even then though, yeah, there's not much to tell, because even then though, yeah. So yeah, we're looking forward to able to actually getting these 2 games compilations all in one particular either disc or the game card on the Nintendo Switch system. I'm not exactly sure what version I'm going to be getting, but I'm pretty sure enough that we're going to get the PlayStation 4 version because, you know, with all these retro games where we've managed to got, specifically for the Castlevania Anniversary Collection, the directional pad on the D-pad, or specifically the 2D platformer with, you know, directional pad is actually really good for them, compared to the analog stick slash local pad for the 3DS. So, as far as I'm aware for this point, folks, I think, I'm afraid to say for this point, folks, I think that's as far as we can say at the moment, up until, some other games we'd like to talk about, and that was the fact that, well, for instance, the untitled, Goose Game finally got its release date for Microsoft Windows, or PC, and also, you never believe this, Nintendo Switch version's gonna come out as well, which I think is about to due out at some point in the 20th of September, which is roughly exactly the same day as The Legend of Zelda Link's Awakening Remake, as well as the Nintendo Switch Lite, and that's about it, obviously. And speaking of The Legend of Zelda Link's Awakening Remake, we recently managed to pre-order that game instantly, as far as I'm aware. And also, we did manage to also pre-order Spyro United Trilogy for the Nintendo Switch, so that way we can able to play on the go and stuff. And also, we did manage to pre-order, aside from the actual Brony community and stuff, like we always mentioned, is that we did manage to pre-order ourselves My Little Pony Rainbow Road Trip for the DVD. Which, I don't know why that North America doesn't seem to get the, both best gift ever, and especially noticeable with Rainbow Road Trip specials in the actual DVD format. But, you know, it's kind of like the same thing for how it does it in the Sonic Boom TV show back during the likes of in 2016 or something. But either way, though, I guess I have no choice, don't I? Because I'm just gonna simply take a par. Oh, jeez. I have no idea what to expect for this point, though. Okay, so I believe right now, we're about to be approaching on to the last hole in the resort stages department. So even then though, And from what I've seen so far, it might actually be not as tough though, compared to the forms of how it does in on that, you know, with that island hopping hole from the likes of the original game? Well, I don't think that'll be the case this time around though, so even then though, and one thing I actually realized about that is that, you know, with the amount of parts you need to get up to in every single hole in the resort, you know, selections of stages, turns out they're exact same amount in the actual, like, you know, 9 holes respectively. So, and as far as the actual everything else about the news and updates and all that such, I'm afraid to say is the fact that that's all we can able to think of. Apart from the fact that, God knows we can able to actually get ourselves on next Nintendo Direct at some point next month. But even then, though, we'll find out and see what happens whenever it gets to the point until the majority of September. And along the same lines, though, tomorrow might actually be the new Let's Play. Even though, despite the fact that there are 5 current Let's Plays that we need to hopefully finishing up until, you know, the next year will be slowly approaching, which is specifically 2020, as I said before. Or in this case, for this matter, for this point, Mario, we've already mentioned about this several times already, so... And this will be the last time we're going to be able to upload the actual multiplayer mayhem at this point until, let's just say in 2020 will be next up. Because even then though, after that though, well, it's kind of hard to decide honestly. Because, well, at this point it's the fact that we're actually getting pretty close to, you know, specifically for running out of ideas for the actual multiplayer mayhem videos aside from, you know, Sonic Adventure 2 HD version of the multiplayer department on either the Xbox 360 or the PlayStation 3. So that way we can able to get the much more improvement quality and everything. And especially noticeable with, let's just say Sonic Heroes multiplayer, Sonic 06 multiplayer, or Shadow the Hedgehog's Bare Bones multiplayer. And aside from all that, for this point folks, I'm pretty sure we... dang it, I just messed up right there onto that specific water hazard right from the start. So anyways though, for this specific section right here, for this last hole in the resort stages, is that, well, you have to make sure you need to able to get that golf ball went over to the actual water or the lake. So either way though, it might actually act out very similar to the forms of how it does in the original, no, the first stage actually. But, except the fact that it's just, you know, you have to get a lot of users on Motion Plus peripherals. So, we were gonna able to actually go with, all 18 holes for that matter, but, seemingly to say, it might actually take forever to able to actually deal with them all. So even then, that's why we decided able to mainly focusing on, resort stages for the most part though. So even then though, I'm afraid to say for this point, folks, is the fact that we're actually doing not that spectacular at this, but we did that pretty decent, as far as I will admit it though for that, because, you know, again, I'm pretty much used to with the original game, because in the original game, I can just simply able to actually do all these shots, no problem, but that's not the case for this time around. So either way though, let's see how Waluigi's gonna bring us into. Looks like I'm not gonna able to get an eagle anytime being, or I'm not gonna get an eagle for that matter for the time being, because we're pretty sure we're getting pretty close towards the end of this. So, oh, it's so close. So close to reach for this specific hole right there, but even then though, let's see how Luigi's gonna handles out. Ah, dang it, I just missed that either. Yeah, it's only if the fact of the matter is though, is that little hill right there was actually pretty steep. So, even then, we'll try aim from here. Oh, keep on missing it! Oh jeez, that's pretty dumb luck of my part. Alright, so let's go for me, and... oh, managed to got that right in, but sadly it's got a double bogey, but whatever. Because we'll find out until when this has been finished. Alright, so now it's Waluigi's turn now, and... it reminds me of so much of Mario Golf Toadstool Torch intro cutscene, where I keep on missing the actual hole every time. Oh jeez, it reminds me of so many bad memories for that part. Alright, so it looks like Wario got a par, and now it's time to go for me. So even then, I'm afraid I might actually give myself the bogey for that part, but I guess it's not that much of a big of a deal. And now it's time for me to get this last shot in, even though I might actually get bogey the same thing from Mario.
Finish!
And the final results here is that Luigi actually wins this time. And whereas for you, Waluigi, Stadio, you're in 4th place. Whatever, because I still managed to win on the original Wii Sports Golf game, of course. So yeah, as a result, Luigi got +1, and got myself +3, Wario gets +4, and Waluigi gets +5. So that's pretty much in an automatically order for that part. The only missing number is +2, but that's only because it all depends on our skills and all that such. So, but even enough, that again, we did that pretty decent enough, but we're not exactly a huge master at this though, so even though I just want to point things out right away. So of course we got ourselves these level skills upgrades or anything like that, and of course since we have not reached up to 1000 for this point just yet though. But either way though, that pretty much takes care of the fun of this video, because sadly to say, there was no stumps involved, because well, it's really difficult able to get the insane amount of birdies, and not to mention the hole-in-one in this game so far. So even though I just want to point things out right away. So yeah, I hope you guys are able to enjoy this particular video for this point, folks. I know it's not so much excitement going on around here, because we just managed to mainly focusing on discussing on other things. So even then though, yeah, that takes care of this video. So this is me, Mario, Luigi here, Wario, and Waluigi. Even though sadly I'm dead flashed, so that's pretty bonkers for my part. So I hope you guys do enjoy this video. So even then, I hope you guys are able to looking forward to September, especially for God knows for the Nintendo Directs will be announced. So see you then. Bye. Yeah, see ya. See ya.